On today's show, we have a great topic today, and I want to get into, the $1 million question these days. Are we in a housing boom or a housing bust, Jason? And again, everybody we talk to they're ecstatic with the fact that in the last 2 or 3 years they've seen their home prices go through the roof. But there was a great article from the Daily Hive, and the article was written by Kenneth Chan back in March of 2022. And he goes on to say in the article, Jason, that Canadians' home prices may fall up to 24% is the forecast that was released by Oxford Economics over the next 2 years in Canada. And that 24% drop in home prices could potentially erase much of these skyrocketing gains throughout the pandemic.
Well, skyrocketing is an understatement. It's been a crazy few years. Real estate's either a boom to your wealth if you own, or you've got some issues if you're renting. And some of the factors, of course, that are causing the increase in housing. Number one, of course, is the overbidding of houses. It's a seller's market. People are afraid. They don't want to miss out on a home. So what they're doing is they're just bidding above ask. So, of course, that'll increase the price of some of the housing. Cheap credit, of course. Interest rates are super low these days. Lack of supply. Last week there was an article from National Post, and it said that Ontario would need to build 650,000 homes, new homes, just to meet the national average. With the cost of material, cost of labor, over the summer last year, we had a huge increase in lumber pricing. Those are all factors that are increasing the prices these days.
Yeah, they're really a hindrance on people's ability to buy a home. I had a client come in a week or two ago. He's a home builder, and I asked him. He builds homes, nice homes, luxury homes here in Niagara. But I said to him, "What's the typical home price these days per square foot?" And he says, "We're building our homes at about $700 to $800 per square foot." And another client came in last week, and he's got a condo in Burlington. It's for sale. It's an 800 square foot condo. It's going for $800,000. So,
crazy.
You're thinking about, wow, is it going to be $1,000 per square foot? So other factors that are affecting the increase of these home prices right now has been the hyper increases in the past few years. And we do know that home prices have been going up. Now, for those out there, there's some recency bias right now, I think. We think that because we've seen home prices in the past few years go up 10, 15, 20, 30%, they're going to go on forever. They're probably not. The pandemic's been a big impact on home price increases and, of course, working from home. But, Jason, in the article that talked about this 24% increase, there was a chart that I want to try and explain to our listeners and viewers. But basically from 1980 to 2020, if you look back over home price sales, they typically would grow plus or minus 10%. So a $400,000 home would trade in that $440 to $360 or $360,000 range. So you had these home prices trading in a range. And what happened in his forecast is by 2021-22, that valuation was going through the roof, up 25%. So the reason of the article is, if you look at this chart over the past 40 years, it was really a nice, relatively flat, straight line for home price increases. And then there's this huge bubble come at the end of the article. But Canadians really are having a tough go these days when it comes to home prices.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the other findings on that in that report, gains made over the past 2 years, they're not truly sustainable. There's probably going to be some kind of decrease or a bubble-like scenario. At the end of 2021, Canadian home prices are up 19% above the borrowing capacity of the median income households of Canadians. It's people are borrowing a little bit more than that they can really afford.
Well, we do have a topic coming up in the next couple of shows. It's about Canadians being in massive amounts of debt. And as of right now, Canadians have never, ever, ever in the history of our country had more debt personally than they do today. And I think from the article I recall reading, it was for every dollar of take-home income, most Canadians are owing about $1.80 to $1.85. So it's a huge issue. Some of the other report findings from the article is that the 2022 trend continues upward, and by the summer of 2022, the level is expected to reach its all-time high of about 38% higher for what most borrowers borrowers can afford. So the trend line's going up. The challenge is going to be, can buyers afford these high prices? Last month's National Housing Market Update by the Canadian Real Estate Association showed that the country's average home price, so across this country, average home price, of course, we take into account Vancouver, the big cities, Toronto, and so on, we're up 21% year over year, hitting a new record of $748,000. So it's to the point now where it's almost unaffordable for the average Canadian or the entry person to get into the home market these days.
Yeah, and the end result of this report basically said exactly that. They believe that this is going to cause a bit of a breaking point in the market and potentially crash under its own success.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other factors that are driving the Oxford report forecast is the rise of the Bank of Canada increasing interest rates. So we know that back before COVID, interest rates from the Bank of Canada to the bank was about 1.75%. What the bank wants to do is they haven't raised any rates since 2018. They actually lowered rates during the pandemic, and the bank wants to start to increase those rates back up. And again, we've seen as of March, there was a meeting of the Bank of Canada. They started to raise interest rates. They're going to raise more interest rates in April and May, June, and so on. So we're going to see rates, Jason, no question, go higher. And one of the concerns is that if you're out there right now and you've borrowed money for a home, I think most mortgages, most investors in real estate have gone to a variable mortgage. Well, guess what? That low rate of 1.2, 1.4 may slowly rise to 2, 2.5, or 3. So are you prepared to accept that the higher increase in rates?
Yeah, exactly. And the rates are expected to continue to increase until about 2024. So if your mortgage is coming up this year, you might be okay, but over the next couple of years, don't expect to pay a few more dollars every month for that mortgage. They're talking about 5-year fixed rates, which are in the 3.5% to 4% range right now. They're expected to go up to at least 5% by the end of 2023. So it can make a big difference.
I will say that for full disclosure, back about a year ago, I had a phone call from my lender, and I had a chance to lock into a 5-year fixed at about 2.08. So I'm feeling pretty smug about that issue. Some of the other factors in the analysis of this housing boom or housing bubble is the federal government has some forthcoming rules, new policies on housing demand, specifically for a tax on house flipping. So there's some talk about having this house flipping tax. There's talk about having a ban on foreign home ownership, and there's a tax potentially coming on vacant homes owned by non-residents. So the government is trying to squash those foreigners coming into this country, buying up homes and letting those homes just sit there and basically collect dust, when in fact many Canadians are looking for places to call home.
Yeah, and they talk about the worst case scenario in this in the report, saying there could potentially be a 40% decrease, a valuation drop. Basically, the same thing that happened in the U.S. market. We forget that the Canadian market held up pretty well in 2008, 2009, but the U.S. market dropped about 40%. The other issue, of course, is the forecasts expect home prices to better align with the borrowing capacity of households by the end of 2028.
Which actually makes some sense. Yeah. So hopefully as prices do come back down to normal and home prices have come back down, that it allows those to borrow properly. Last few points here is, even with the 24% prediction correction that the author states in the article, home prices would still be about 15% higher than before the pandemic. And again, Canada right now does have some really ambitious immigration targets, welcoming over 1.2 million immigrants over the next 3 years. So those immigrants coming into the country, it's a great thing. It creates the economy, but that's going to be a really contributing issue to both Toronto and the Vancouver market. So again, we're not predicting that home prices are going to fall 24%. The article makes some really great points. If you see the chart from the article, it does look like a bubble, Jason. Again, I don't know where it's going. As a homeowner, I don't want to see that happen. But as a father with 2 young kids who at some point want to enter the market, it wouldn't be so bad for it to kind of get back in line. And what's amazing in the Niagara region is, I understand when home prices go up high in Toronto. Toronto has some really great incomes. It's a great it's a great capital market for those to work. But in Niagara, what do we really have down here? We're a tourism industry, and to see home prices climb $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, the entry point for the next generation is going to be one of the toughest things that we may ever see in our lifetimes.
Pricing our kids. I want them out of the house.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny, right? You start talking about saying, hey, go get your education, go to university, stay home for a year or two, save some money up, and go get your own place. But in today's world, those kids may be home for
their 30s.
A bit longer. But again, for those out there, again, thanks for watching. We have our podcast housed on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you type in It's Your Wealth, the podcast is there. Feel free to subscribe.